Hello Shipmates, and welcome to the Audacious podcast, generously powered by the Team Lewis Studios. This is a show where we dive deep into the stories of people who make the extraordinary feel ordinary. I'm your host, Hugo Mitchell-Heggs, a Royal Naval Officer and 2 times ocean rower, and in each episode I'll be speaking to remarkable guests about resilience, leadership, and the moments that defined their journeys. And today I'm honoured to welcome our very first guest, Dame Penny Mordaunt, former MP for Portsmouth North, former Leader of the House of Commons and Lord President of the Privy Council. She was the first woman to serve as the Secretary of State for Defence. She is a proud champion of the Royal Navy and played a key role in rescuing Portsmouth Football Club when its future was at risk.
I did indeed.
Dame
yes.
Penny, welcome
Thank
to
you.
the Audacious podcast.
Very pleased to be here.
How are you today?
I'm very good. Very excited about this new venture.
It is a new venture, and I'd love to start by saying a massive congratulations on your recent honours announcement, being announced as a Dame Commander of the Most Excellent Order of the British Empire.
Thank you very much. No, it's a great honour, and it wasn't a political honour because I'm a bit iffy about some of those, but I discovered that it was because members of the public had written in, which made it very special.
And it was all to capture not just your political background, but the strong sense of community and your connection to the armed forces, amongst a whole load of other wonderful moments in your journey.
Yeah, I've been very lucky with some of the things I've been able to do. So very, very proud of it.
Does it feel strange yet being called Dame Penny? What's the
It does occasionally, but no, it's very nice. I think on the day I tweeted out the clip of Morecambe and Wise, their spoof of the South Pacific number, that there is nothing like a dame. So I'm not taking it too seriously.
Roger. When do they invite you to the palace?
So it will be early December, and it will be at Windsor Castle.
Windsor Castle.
Yeah. With
the likes of David Beckham and all the other lovely...
I'm not sure when he's due in, but I'm sure there'll be some amazing people there.
Good. You can tell them to come on the podcast. We need more exciting people.
Absolutely. I will certainly tell Bex that.
Absolutely. I would love to talk a little bit more about your journey into public service. And firstly, what inspired you to get into politics in the first place? Was it something you always imagined doing as a young person?
Absolutely not. I had a lot of experiences at a young age, bringing up my family, had a lot of responsibility on my shoulders. And I also hadn't planned to go to university or anything because I was busy doing other things, looking after my family, working, all those sorts of things. My father remarried. I lost my mother when I was 15. My father remarried a few years later. And so after that, when things got a bit more stable at home, I thought, well, what am I going to do? So I went to work in the former Eastern Bloc, because Romania was in the news at the time. It's about a year after the revolution. I am that old. And that taught me that politics is a really powerful force, a really potent force. There it was being used for terrible ill. I was working in hospitals and orphanages, kids that had just been abandoned because they weren't deemed to be perfect enough, which was a big thing under the Ceausescu regime, and just how people had lost the ability to see these children as human beings. And so I saw this as a very powerful thing, and clearly there it was being used for tremendous ill, but I could see how it could be used for good. So that got me interested in politics, but I never thought I would be in the front line until when I was working behind the scenes at Conservative Central Office. A chap called Rick Nye, who set up the polling company Populous, he was head of research at the time. He took me aside and said, out of everyone in this building, and I wasn't, Oxbridge graduate or anything like that, he said, you should run for office. You'd be good at it. Yeah. And had he not said that, I probably wouldn't have.
It took just one key person in
someone saying, you have you thought about, doing that?
Sliding doors moment, that conversation that happened, and you think maybe...
Because you don't, I think if you come from my background, you don't tend to see yourself doing those things, and especially if you're working in politics, and those that are around you, it's what they've wanted to do since they were 6, and they've been to the top universities, and they've done all of that. You just don't think it would be something for you to do. But it was just very interesting to me that he saw me doing it.
That's good. And if anything, seeing the potential that you had lived through so much that losing your mother quite young meant that you had to go on develop resilience and grow up very, very quickly to have to take on those roles. Yeah,
we did. My twin brother and I shouldered a lot of responsibility, and we had to earn money. We had to, and we did some crazy jobs. But we did at 17. We bought a central heating system for our home. Most 17-year-olds aren't doing that sort of thing, but we did. So no, it was. But I think that, Rick Nye is a very great guy. I think it's important to encourage people, and that really taught me. We have this scheme called Ask Her to Stand, which is a scheme that asks women to run for office. And I think for women in particular who don't necessarily see themselves in those kind of roles, or think that they need to work harder and learn more before they can even contemplate doing that, it's important. Quick statistic. The average time it takes for a fella from filling out his application form to be a member of parliament to sort of sending it in is about a week. For a woman, it's about 18 months.
Wow. I mean, that's
So encourage women.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
Hey, and as a father to two young girls, it's absolutely it's amazing to see the journey it's been on, but actually the fact that we've had, being the first ever woman to be Defence Secretary, and that firstness, is that something that you felt that you had to shoulder early on at any point in that journey, or is it something that came quite naturally?
I think I was helped being Defence Secretary because I'd been Min-AF, Minister of the Armed Forces, not long before that, and I'd done that for about 18 months at a very kinetic time for the department. It's the height of Ops Shader, our work in Syria and Iraq, and I think my Secretary of State had 4 skiing holidays that year. So, because there's only those 2 positions, Min-AF and Secretary of State, that can deploy force. Everything has to be signed off by a civilian, and those are the only 2 roles in government that can do that. So one of you has to be on duty all the time, and so because he knew I'd got a background in defence, he was quite happy to leave me to do a lot of it, and did. So I knew my way around the department. I'd been in all the meetings, and I knew people who worked there. I knew most of the chiefs really well. So I was able to literally walk across the road from having got the job in Downing Street, and I think I went straight into an OpMin and chaired it.
Wow. It's and somewhere amongst this, I'm going to come on to Portsmouth Football Club in a bit, but Portsmouth features as the kind of anchor, and no pun intended, in all of it.
Yeah, it's taught me so much about my country, and it taught me a lot about me, and it is an amazing city. It's the only island city in the UK. It's really resilient, it's really down to earth, and it's steeped in service and obviously the Navy traditions as well. So you have a strong connection to it. I think anyone that's brought up by the sea, I think when you're away from it, you miss it. You miss the seagulls. You miss the kind of general rhythms of life. And it is an amazing place.
It's an amazing place. One of my adopted cities, as you do when you join the armed forces, you move around a little bit, and it was I've spent the last 4 and a bit years there, and it's been wonderful. But it's actually anyone joining the Navy, or especially officers who go and do their AIB over in HMS Sultan, you get the train into either Portsmouth and Southsea or into Portsmouth Harbour, and you go through Fratton, and you go through Fratton Park, where there's that strong connection of both the city, the football club, and it's a place that seems to have, I mean, what is it, hundreds of years worth of naval heritage around it. I mean, to grow up around that must have been quite special.
It was, and I mean, when I was growing up, you had Navy days. You couldn't do that today, but so I was, from a very young age, I was clambering over aircraft carriers, on submarines, including a lot of foreign navies visited. And I remember going on a diesel electric sub, throwing up everywhere because it was almost horrendous. It was so hot. The smell was so terrible.
Different breed.
Oh
diesel.
my God. It was so, but we used to be able to kind of do all of that. And Royal Yacht Britannia, she would be moored alongside. You weren't allowed on her, but you could go and like gaze at her glamour. And yeah, constant overhead from Wasp helicopters and Harriers.
Yeah. Do you think you actually had a bit of time in the Navy before becoming a Royal Navy honorary officer, but you had a stint in the Royal Navy Reserves?
Yeah, 10 years. Yeah. Which I loved. It was such a great foil to everything else I was doing in my life, because it just teaches you things that you wouldn't otherwise learn about, really. I mean, I'm not an engineer, but you have to get some basic understanding of how a ship works and what all the systems are on it and how it's powered, and I just loved it. You used to be doing my sea time and crawling through the
system
back end
tracing and work,
HMS Bulwark.
Amazing.
And
I love it.
Figuring out how it all works.
It's like caving at times. You've got to you really question what decisions you made in life to somehow be in some of the spaces.
In a sort of machinery compartment.
Do you think it's something more young people should be thinking about now?
I'm a great believer in people having practical skills. I mean, so much of what people are learning about these days, it's all coding, and it's all these things that are, you can't grip it. But I just think it's good to have a sense of mechanical engineering and just how physically things work. How cars work. I mean, I loathe cars that you can't fix yourself. I never want to own one of those
plastic cap over it, and then you plug a diagnostic device into it, and then someone else will come and fix it.
Yeah, and someone else has to come and fix it. I mean, I like to be able to kind of bang things, and
I think you have
try and sort it out yourself.
You have to in the Navy, otherwise there's no AA coming out to
Exactly. So I mean, that it gives you, I think those are good skills to have, but it also gives you confidence about your own abilities to figure stuff out, figure out if something at home breaks, how do you mend it, all those sorts of things. I think that's those are important things. So yeah, I mean, I loved it. I loved the physical fitness aspects to it. I loved the kind of things it teaches you about your own resilience and your own abilities. It was great.
Yeah, and helped naturally for the carrying the sword of states that moment.
I did some sword drill at Dartmouth. It came in very handy. I can have to say that, yes.
Yeah, I was talking about this earlier. It's something that people find quite hard, standing still for quite a long time. You see people faint on parade squares. It's the little tricks that people teach you around. Yeah, wiggling your toes and
absolutely tensing up your muscles. It's like when you go and give blood. You gotta kind of keep things going. And the added difficulty though was doing it in high heels. Don't try it, Hugo.
No,
it's not good.
I'll give it a go later. My older brother's a cardiologist, and he tells me that calves are actually like a second heart. So if you do a little calf raise, it gets the blood moving back up. So for any aspiring parade drill enthusiasts out there, very slow calf raises will
top tip.
Yeah, top tip. So maybe when it's roasting hot in a heat wave, then it's
just don't do it.
It's all in God's hands.
Yeah.
Do you think that connection to the Royal Navy helped your political leadership journey at all?
I think what it did do is instill in me the reason why I went into politics, because it is Portsmouth is a city that is all about service.
Yeah.
And in politics, I think the most important thing is to know why you're there. People who have a miserable time in politics don't know why they're there. It seemed like a good idea at the time. It's a cool job. They saw too many episodes of The West Wing or whatever. They have a miserable time because their only compass and their only reward for being there is press coverage or a cabinet job, or and that's no way to go into politics. You will just be unhappy if that's all that's motivating you. So I think the most important thing Portsmouth gave me was the reason to be in politics, to because I just felt such a strong connection to. You can't witness the Falklands Task Force and not get the country. You just can't do it. And whereas a lot of my colleagues who were representing basically large shopping centres, they didn't have that. Whereas I saw it every day. So it was kind of, you didn't need a kind of mantra or something. You just literally opened the curtains and it was there in front of you.
And you definitely see that the Navy isn't just the people, it's not just the ships and people in uniform. It's the families, it's the community, it's industry,
everything.
It's all those organisations around who a lot of them don't join, but they serve, in a whole different way, don't they?
They do. It's a community effort, and it's. I mean, in Portsmouth, most people have a connection to the fleet in some way. They've got a family member involved, or they work in an industry that supports it, or there's some connection there, and it's just so amazing. I remember when the first modern carrier first came into Portsmouth, because she was assembled. Bits of her were built in Portsmouth, but she was assembled in Scotland and then sailed round. And she came into her home port for the first time. And I'd been invited to go and watch her come in on one of our Type 45s in the harbour. And I went down there very early. It must have been like just coming up to 5 a.m, because she's due in about 7 or so.
Sure.
And the whole city was up. And you had buses rammed with people, before 5 a.m, going down to the seafront, people on foot. I mean, thousands of people walking to the seafront with their kids to watch her come in.
Heroic, almost like Nelsonian.
It was
in
amazing.
its own way.
It was, the whole city was like, right, she's coming in. We're gonna welcome her in, and that is you just don't get that in other places. I mean, it's really moving to see it.
That's incredible. And it's nice to see that you've still got a strong connection now, an honorary captain.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Affiliated, because the honoraries, we tend to be sort of affiliated to different bits of the Navy. So I am affiliated to MCM2 Squadron.
It's the mine clearance divers.
Mine clearance vessels, ocean patrol, and I've also got some responsibility for the clearance divers as well.
So people who keep the bombs out of the water and make the seas safe for our ships and shipping and trade to get through.
They're quite a distinct breed of individuals.
I know a few of them.
They are amazing people. Because of, bomb disposal at the best of times is quite a spicy thing to do. They're doing it largely blind. So they will literally go down and try and identify a device underwater, can't see anything at all. So they measure it against their own body. So that it's insane. But they're so brave. Incredible people.
Good people. Even though they ask him as from a submariner's perspective, we do love them. They spend enough time underwater.
They do. They're kind of they're sort of
we like them.
General same species.
And to anyone listening, what does being an honorary, what does that mean in terms of uniform wearing and appearances? And we sometimes see these exciting people come along to bases and events and so on. What does being an honorary? What's the expectation?
It is about helping the fleet. So all the honoraries are a really different bunch of people. They've got lots of different skills, but the thing that unites them all is that they love the Royal Navy and they want it to do well, and they want the people in it to do really well. And so we bring lots of different things. Some people have deep pockets and are very generous and help a lot on the welfare side, things that we can't get out of the defence budget, but make our people happier and healthier. They will support those sorts of things. You've got really inspirational adventurers. Robin Knox Johnson. I mean, amazing man.
Definitely
He's probably, as we speak,
fighting sharks,
fighting off pod of orcas off Greenland or something single-handedly. I mean, he's the most inspirational man. But Bear Grylls as well, who are there, I think, to inspire. And when you see them go around places, it is sort of a bit of stardust.
Definitely.
And it just sort of really make people feel good about what they're doing. And then you've got people that got great knowledge. I mean, Dan Snow, who does so much about the historic side and really helping people understand what the Navy is for our nation and why it's so important, particularly to our nation. Great communication skills. And then we do all sorts of things. I mean, before I got my affiliation to MCM2, one of the last roles I did was going on ships. Actually, the last one was back then was Albion, before she was getting ready to go to sea. And I would speak in private to all the messes. So people could literally tell me what was on their mind, how they were feeling about, from their terms and conditions to not being able to get that ruddy part that they've been waiting on for God knows how long. And so I would be able to take all that information. They could say it in confidence to me. And then I would just go straight to the Second Sea Lord and tell him, this is what these people need. This is what's concerning them. And it was just a way of the senior guys checking on how things were doing. So we do lots and lots of different things. We go to lots of public events, lots of cadets events, and just really expand the bandwidth of the senior team.
I think it's how we actually connected properly in the first place, wasn't it? Was your involvement in the Submariner Memorial Appeal?
Yes.
What was it? 6 years? 5 years? No, it was a lockdown project.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. No, very pleased to be able to help with that, and just trying to in that case, raise some money to help important projects.
Yeah. For those who don't know, that was the Submariner Memorial. All we had was a sort of rabbit hutch size stack of bricks at the National Memorial Arboretum, and this fantastic group came together, designed a memorial, had a competition. And then it was about raising about £700,000 to build it at the National Arboretum, and it's quite extraordinary. If you're passing through the Arboretum, go and check it out. It's incredible. It is
beautiful.
But thank you so much for that. And clearly, community projects are very much at the heart of what makes you tick, Penny.
Yes, I mean, I'm not a ideological politician.
Yeah.
I'm a very pragmatic person. And so my politics is about getting things to happen, getting things done. And sometimes you can do that at a national level, but a lot of the time you can do it at a local level. So my stint in Portsmouth was really about very, very practical things that were going to make a difference to people, whether it was rebuilding schools or saving heritage buildings or the football club.
Or the football club, which actually, take us back. What was the crisis at the time? And what was this, 10 years ago, 12 years ago?
So, oh my gosh, it would have been about 10 years ago. Yeah, actually a bit more than 10. Wonderful football club, couple of 100 years old, first goalkeeper, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. I mean, incredible heritage, economically vital for the city. I mean, it had, even in its doldrums, it's still a massive gate take every match day. Just so important to the identity of the city as well, as anyone that knows Pompey will know. And it basically was owned by a Lithuanian money launderer who got himself into difficulty, and so the club defaulted to the previous owner, who wasn't really interested in it, and so the upshot was that the club was going to fold. It was in administration. and there were no prospects of saving it. So we did the largest, what is still the largest and fastest ever community buyout. Portsmouth's not a wealthy area, but we got families to commit the price of a half-time meat pie, a couple of quid, to an escrow account to indicate that they would be prepared to buy a share of £1,000 in the club.
So this was the Supporters Trust that was starting to form.
Yes. So the Supporters Trust was founded, and we managed to raise a couple of million in about 6 weeks from families coming together and pooling their resources and saying, we've got £1,000, we're going to buy a share. And then we had some high value donors come in. But the critical thing was, because we were in the Premier League, this was massive money. We had to keep playing in order to qualify as we left that league for the parachute payment that we would get. It was about £18 million. So we could afford to buy the club if we kept playing and if we won a high court battle at the end. And so over the course of a couple of years, we were fighting every week. We were fighting to get a foot in the door. We were fighting to change the administrator, because the first administrator was just interested in stripping the club. So I phoned up all the small firms that we owed money to, that the club owned money to, all the people who print programs or do the baked potatoes or whatever. And I got them to sign a letter saying they wanted the administrator change. And then I took it to the taxman, HMRC, and I said, I want you to sign this letter. And they looked at it and said, all right then. So we then requested the administrator change. We got a good administrator in, who is a guy he still works in football. His heart and soul is in football. Yeah. And without him, I think we would have had a very hard time even kind of getting to the starting block of trying to buy the club, because the Premier League and the Football League's rules were all very opaque. So to even put a business plan together was a struggle, because you didn't know what the rule book was. We sold everything that we could that we didn't need to actually play football. The scoreboard, half the lights, and then when we played away, the ground we were going to, they would do a bucket collection for us so we could kind of pay for our travel. Paying the players was really hard. A lot of the staff at the club took pay cuts. Yeah. It's amazing effort by everyone. And eventually we ended up in a high court battle that I remember very well, because it was on the day of the tribute in the Commons to Margaret Thatcher, and everyone was on the benches being really solemn. And I was been in the High Court in the morning, and that afternoon I got a text on my phone to say we'd won. So while everyone is sort of saying solemn things about the great lady, you can see me on the back benches going,
yeah, oh my goodness,
as we won. Yeah. And a year we got it debt free, and then several years later we sold it to Michael Eisner from Disney.
This is a fairy tale story.
I know, so it literally is. Yeah. It literally is. And then he's obviously, taking it back up the leagues. We won the championship last year, and we gave the option of everyone having their money back. So everyone who'd bought £1,000 share, they could get their money back if they wanted. But a lot kept within the Supporters Trust. Yeah.
Heartwarming, wholesome. Bank of Dave meets Wrexham.
It's the spirit of Pompey. That's we call ourselves Strong Island, and we are. And it was an amazing experience.
It must have been incredible seeing a community come together like that.
It was, and because people no one believed we would do it.
Yeah,
but we did.
What do you think that legacy looks like now?
Well, they've got. The club, which is, it's an absolutely historic club, very old club. It's not in the Premier League now, but I'd argue it is one of our most famous clubs. Yeah. It is it's legendary because of the connection with the city. It's just so profound. They're one and the same. Pompey is Pompey.
Pompey is Pompey.
I think it would have been terrible the economic loss, yes. I mean, enormous sums of money and jobs that people rely on it for. But I just think we would have lost part of our soul if it had gone, and you can't rebuild that.
Do you think communities are stronger when they rally around like shared symbols, like a football club?
Yeah. I think it's about part of your identity. It's about pride. It's about all the things that the club enable. Physical fitness for young people, all the health programs that run off the back of it, all the education programs. Because Portsmouth, I think it was won community club of the year. I mean, year after year after year, because it did so much for quite a deprived in places part of the world.
Yeah, and a city that has changed quite drastically as well over the last 10, 15 years.
Yeah, it was. So when I was elected in 2010, it was in the top 10 crap towns of the UK.
What a lovely list to be on.
Indeed. And in 2022, it was voted second best place to live.
That's amazing.
So it's had a lot of money into it. It's had a lot of redevelopment. Yeah. We've focused very hard on things like education, because we had some of the worst education results in the country. We had some of the worst crime rates, some of the most wards with the highest antisocial behaviour in the country, and that's all changed now. So yeah, it's come a long way.
Bravo, Zulu, that's special. What do you think the lessons from that whole journey could be shared into Westminster today?
So I think that it comes back to that notion of your identity, who you're about, your values, pride and self-belief. I think the problem we've got at the moment, where you see people out on the streets with the Union flag or St George's flag, most people that are doing that, the flag for them is a symbol of love. They're trying to say, this is what I'm proud of. And people do still feel proud about their country, but I think they're worried about how well it's doing. They worry about how well equipped we are in defence. They worry about our ability to do basic things, whether it's filling in a pothole or getting the NHS to work really well. And they see politics not delivering, no matter who they vote for. And that undermines your confidence about, can you get things done? Is this just inevitable, or can we actually change it? So having self-confidence is what people need to go for it, to try and do things. And having pride in your own capabilities and your own agency as a nation is what you need to do the same. Yeah. And so it's so important. And I just think that is the lesson that I've seen at national level and at local level on things like the football club. You have to believe that you are capable of doing things. And if there are things that are undermining that pride and that self-confidence, that's a very bad thing indeed.
Yeah. I imagine somewhere along that it's also challenging systems that have not been changed and the status quo, and getting your sleeves rolled up and getting dirty with whether it was getting amongst it with creditors or the fans or the community. It's all those different parts that came together. And I guess politics is probably not so dissimilar, where it's actually so many different people pulling in different directions. And organizations, how do you paint that common picture?
So you do need a strong narrative. Yeah. You need to, and the narrative isn't just about what you're trying to get done, it's what it means to people as well. I think we've lost a bit of that. You know, if we have an inward investment into the UK, it's rarely covered by the news, or no one really gets excited about it. But if you can phrase it in terms of, this is what it means to your household's disposable income, this is what it means to your retirement age, this is what it means to the opportunities your city's going to have, you suddenly start to see, actually, oh yeah, that is quite important. we've lost the connection, I think, between those that are creating those opportunities and the wealth creators and those that create jobs, and on the public sector side of things, the kind of almost like two different nations. We've lost those things that kind of tie us in together and get us to feel good about the kind of joint endeavour that the whole of the country's on. So you need a strong narrative. I also think you need an attitude towards doing things well that is about pursuing excellence, but just making stuff better all the time. And politics and defence to an extent, because of things like defence reviews, it doesn't work like that. You know, you have a kind of timetable that's political that you need to sort of squeeze your decisions into. And so, and that never leads to a great productive use of people's time or the habits you need to create to pursue excellence. And so the difference between working in Whitehall and Westminster compared to most other professions in the private sector, it's chalk and cheese.
Yeah, I bet.
And the culture is just, it's like being on a different planet.
It must be a complete change of scenery now. But actually, looking back, what did you, I mean, politics sounds brutal. What did you do to manage your own resilience and well-being and performance and all those things during that long stretch? Dare I say it, potentially again at some point?
Yes, I will be back. I'm a glutton for punishment. But so it is brutal, but the hardest thing about it is not people being nasty to you or the hours or anything like that. It is about the ability to get things done. That to me was kind of the most frustrating thing in all of that. And that is hard. You have to, I mean, the good thing about the system we have, because you're a constituency MP as well as someone in Parliament and part of a political party, or in some cases, and in my case, a minister as well. So you can get things to happen every week. You know, you would lose a vote in the House of Commons, but that week you'd got cancer drugs for a 2-year-old that would otherwise be going into palliative care. You know, you have all sorts of daily, hourly triumphs, for casework you're doing and all sorts of other things. But it's also very frustrating when you can't get the national focus you want. I mean, for me, on defence spending, you know, that's I've got a big list, but that would be one of them. The focus that you need on something that you think is really important and fundamental to the nation, and you just can't get it to happen. You run into the Treasury, or you think you've got something over the line, and then someone's reshuffled and you have to start all over again. You know, those are the kind of frustrating things. And then just people kind of lobbing in grenades for no good reason, you know, just unproductive activity that you just have to kind of deal with along the way.
And amongst all of that, somewhere in the mix, you've got to look after yourself, those around you, not just your constituency, but, you know, immediate friends, family.
The other stuff doesn't stop. Yeah. I mean, you do have to do all of that as well. So it is challenging, and it's very hard on families. I mean, I think in my first Parliament, the 2010, by the end of that Parliament, half the people who'd come in that intake were divorced. Wow. It was,
the toll it takes.
Yeah.
Brutal. What do you what advice would you give to anyone thinking of pursuing a career in politics?
So I think the most important thing is to know why you're doing it. If as I said before, if you're going into politics because you think it's a cool job, or you know, you just kind of fancy making great speeches and, you know, going to lots of events, and you are going to have a really miserable time. You have to imagine what your worst day is going to be like, and you'll have a lot of days like that. I would say to people that I was mentoring, politics is about your ability to endure things. And, I mean, Churchill had to endure an awful lot. He had to endure a lot of time when he wasn't doing anything he wanted to do because of the circumstances he found himself in. You have to be able to endure those kind of things. And the only thing that will keep you going is to know really why you're there, what it is that you're trying to get done. And my happiest times in politics have been when that's been really obvious. I love a campaign. I love, I loved all of that. It's when you don't have that people get into difficulty and it starts becoming all about them and not why they're there.
Yeah, I suppose that's like part of the reason joining the armed forces is knowing why you're there. Yeah, and it can be for multiple reasons. That's what's lovely about it, is you can have 50 different people on a ship who are all there for different reasons, pulling in the same direction, and sometimes picking out why, recognizing what is motivating everyone and how they tick might be different is a big part of it. But I guess it's no different than in the world of politics.
It's exactly. I mean, I think you can apply that to any walk of life. Yeah. Why are you doing this?
Why are you doing this?
Yeah.
And for you, so you mentioned that sliding door moment that led you to believing that it was the path for you. But who have your other big influences been in your life and in leadership?
So, I think in leadership, I'll have a real life person and then a fictional person. So real life, I can't top Her Majesty, the late Queen. And one of the privileges of the job I used to do is that you get to meet amazing people, and I got to spend quite a bit of time with her over many years, and she was utterly remarkable. I mean, she was the embodiment of service and duty and putting everyone else before herself. The most profound example of that was my first week as her last Lord President. So I was appointed on the Tuesday, and on the Wednesday we tried to have a Privy Council meeting with her because we had to swear in the new government because the reshuffle had been on the day before. And this was the day before she died. And so if you can imagine, an elderly relative you've lost, your nan, whatever, what they were like the day before they died, and you're trying to get this woman to hold a business meeting with you. I mean, it was just utterly remarkable. And I remember as we started the meeting thinking, this is what happens. This is just kind of so wrong.
Yeah.
But she was trying to have a meeting. We started it, we couldn't finish it. But that to me was testament to her kind of depth of devotion and duty to us. So she was a remarkable inspiration, and I had some lovely conversations. She made me the first female Defence Secretary, and we were chatting about Land Rover maintenance, all sorts of things, and I got just great memories of her. So I think she was a real exemplar of what it really means to lead and exemplify duty and inspire it in others. And then my fictional inspiration is Master Chief in G.I. Jane and his D.H. Lawrence poem, I never saw a wild thing feel sorry for itself. And I just think that you in all walks of life, you will face moments of great difficulty and stress and strain. And, in the defence world, whether you're a minister making certain decisions or whether you're in uniform, we will know these things very well. And you do get challenges, and your resilience is really, really tested.
Yeah.
But if you think about other people, it always makes it 10 times better. So there's no point in feeling sorry for yourself or a victim, and I saw this very much when I would have people come to my surgery, and talk. They quite often come in with a complaint, and they'd have had, kind of rough things happen to them in life. But in a conversation, you could suddenly turn it to them starting to think about what were the positives and what they could do about their situation. I remember one woman who came in complaining about the earnings threshold for her spouse to be able to get a visa to come live in the UK. And she brought her child in, young boy, and she said, I want you to tell my son why he can't see his father because of your earnings threshold on visas. And so I started talking to her, and she was a very intelligent woman. She had an MA. She could work 9 to 5, and she was earning about £13,000. So I started talking to her about why she was earning £13,000 and what she'd actually like to do. And we ended up, good friends at the end of the time we had. And my intervention with her was not writing to a letter that was going to be of no use at all to the visa office. It was getting her a decent job.
Oh, wow.
So stop feeling sorry for yourself.
Find a way.
And find the positive and do something that's going to help you and others.
Amazing. I think that's a really nice segue into asking you where you think maybe looking in 20 years' time, looking back on on the amazing things you've achieved, but also things that might be yet to come. Where do you think Penny Mordaun's legacy would be?
Well, I would like to get back into politics. Yeah. That is what I would like to do. I'm not kind of done yet with that. That is all luck and timing. So you just don't know. That's the irritating thing about politics. I have to become a candidate again. I have to find a seat. I got to fight an election. There are so many ifs and to that, but that is what I will try and do. And if I can get back into Parliament, hopefully I'll have another good few years in there and try and get things done. I mean, I think we've got some really big issues that need sorting out. Got a healthcare system that purports to be universal but isn't in any sense of the word. We've got to do better with that. We've got to the slice of our budget that goes to in-work benefits, those sorts of things, is just out of kilter. There's something really fundamentally going wrong with what we're providing people with on the bottom rungs of the job ladder, and how we keep people fit and healthy and in good economic activity. There's lots of big issues that need sorted out. Defence spending, which is the one I bang on about most often. So that is all out of kilter, and pensions time bomb and all sorts of things. So we've got to get to grips with some of these big issues. I think so much of politics now is in the weeds of trivia. It's about personalities or some official in number 10. The day we're filming this, that's what it's about. It's not about major cyber attacks going on affecting our industry or any of those things. So it's just we've got to get focused on the things that really matter to the country. And I've got a good few years of experience of that sort of stuff. So I hope to be able to be back and trying to get this nation to be as resilient and capable as it can be.
Definitely. Well, I wish you all the very best with that.
Thank you, Hugo.
And actually, in a bit closer to home, you've got a book coming up soon, am I right?
Yes. So on the 16th of October, Pomp and Circumstance, Why British Traditions Matter will be published.
I make a cheeky appearance in the book.
Hugo does. Is our consultant on the submarine service. So I was inspired to write this by my experiences of being the late Queen's last and the King's first Lord President. And it was at a time, you remember, when we lost the Queen, of great political turmoil. The Truss administration had just started. It was bonkers. Ministers were coming and going, and it was a crazy time.
I remember.
And I did the Accession Council, and I just saw how all of this ceremony held everything together during that time. And our security document, the integrated review, it said, the moment we lose the Queen, it's an immense peril for the nation. It's not a foregone conclusion the King will be accepted. So I was absolutely bricking it that, you know, it was not going to go well.
Yeah.
And I just saw that it did go so well. You know, I came out from St James's Palace having delivered that accession council and heard the crowds cheering the new king. We had the cascade of proclamations across the country. We had the amazing tributes to the Queen, the kind of tractor guards of honour and flowers and marmalade sandwiches everywhere in every royal park, and that big queue to go and see her lying in state. And it was just amazing. And it was the ceremony that did it. And then I looked at, you know, how our uncodified constitution is held together by all of these different elements. And then all of the traditions that we have, from royal family to parliament to military to all the local customs that go on around the country. And I think it tells us something about ourselves. And it comes back to that notion of our identity, but also pride in our abilities. The organisations that perform best in this country are ones that have traditions. The ones that continually fail don't. And a nation that has 1,000 years of tried and tested rules enable it to be really flexible and confident in really unreliable times, which is what we're heading into now. So what you see happening in America and this kind of creative chaos, that's not going to transpire here, even though we're living in the same world, because we're not that kind of a nation. And so if you want to get excellence out of Whitehall or Parliament or whatever, you have to do the reforms in a way that makes sense for this nation. And those leaders, political leaders that have been successful in doing that, like Margaret Thatcher, whatever you thought of her politics, she had a plan, and she had radical reforms, but they were all rooted in the familiar, the tradition, faith, things that people understood. And she created the narrative to enable them to happen. And that's what's missing at the moment. So it will cheer everyone up, hopefully. It's just great learning. I didn't know the RAF set fire to pianos. Who knew?
Doesn't surprise me.
No. So, and if you want to find out how many buttons, you know, various guards have on their uniform, this is the book for you. The back third is a calendar of all the customs that happen around the country, mad things, the sort of things that you and your peers would do, Hugo.
Definitely.
You know, shin kicking, nettle eating, you know, mad stuff.
Conkers, cheese rolling.
Stuff that gets you hospitalised.
Yeah. It has got me hospitalised.
all of those sorts of things. And the royalties are going to support some amazing military charities. So
That's incredible.
It should be, I think it's what we need in the run up to Christmas.
We do. And actually a traditional thing that we have in the armed forces are challenge coins. For those who don't know, challenge coins are a small medallion that every ship, unit, establishment will have with a little emblem of the establishment. People collect them. You get them usually when you join, or if you want to give one to a visitor. So Penny, I've got a little challenge coin for...
How fantastic.
This one's for HMS Audacious, the Navy's ocean rowing team. We will get an Audacious podcast one made at some point if it survives, if the pod survives its first outing. But just want to say a huge thank you for being so open, and for anyone who might want to buy a copy of the book, where's the best?
Go to Amazon.
Yeah.
Pomp and Circumstance, Why British Traditions Matter.
Wonderful. Penny, that was incredible. And to all our listeners and viewers, thank you so much for listening to the Audacious podcast, generously powered by the Team Lewis Studio. Please comment, like, share, all that good stuff. And if you want to hear more, just reach out. We'd love to hear from you. And until next time, thank you very much.